It is what it is, but you can ask anybody from my neighborhood, and they'll just tell you that this is just another Bronx Tale.
Back at it again as the Photo Culture Podcast. I go by the name Exotic Rose. Have my two co-hosts here, Money Mitch, Lisa Marie. And today we got a special guest, Lillo Brancato Jr. How you doing?
I'm well, and you and yourself? I'm doing well. Like I said, out here in Colorado, second time out here. Just want to enjoy myself. It's a very nice place. So make the best of it, you know.
Yes, it's an honor having you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. I did want to bring up that I did not know you had COVID in March.
Yeah, I had it last March. My sister-in-law's father, he died from it. We did not know because it was very early into the pandemic. Where he had it, then he gave it to my sister-in-law, my brother, her sister, her cousin, her grandmother. And then like on March, he died March 16th and then March 18th. Well, they're Irish. So when he died, we all came together to mourn. You know, and the corona was already floating around. No one knew that. So then St. Patrick's Day, we got together again because like I said, they're Irish. So between the death and then the Irish holiday and they're Irish. And then March 18th was my niece's their fourth birthday. It's going to be their fifth birthday. So that was just another day of everybody getting together and gathering and having no clue of what's coming. So that was like, the 16th, 17th, and 18th of March. And then probably like a week later, like March 21st, 22nd, I remember I was in my car. I didn't have my jacket on. I had it on the seat, on the seat. Because it's like uncomfortable to wear while you're driving.
Yeah.
When I got out of the car, I took it off the headrest. And as I was carrying out, I just got this really, really serious bout of chills that I've never felt in my life. And I had to like run inside, get the blow dryer. And not that I use the blow dryer, but I went inside and, I had to use it, but I was freezing. I got lower back pain. I lost taste and smell for a few days, but then it came back, everything came back. And I was lucky too, because I lost my spleen back in 2005 when I had, I know we'll talk about this after, but because of getting shot and, the gunshot wounds, like I said, I lost my spleen, part of my colon, and the spleen is the biggest lymph node in your body. So once that goes, your immune system is severely compromised. And that's why when I knew I had COVID, I just knew because of the loss of taste and smell. You know what I mean? I knew that was the sign that was what the symptom that really told me that I had, COVID. So when I knew I did, I got really scared because of not having a spleen and thinking, is my body going to be strong enough to fight it? Although I do get a vaccine, a pneumovax for pneumonia, because without it, I can die. If I get pneumonia without the spleen, I can't fight it and die. So it was a little more complicated for me. I was a little worried, a little concerned. I got over it, thank God. So many others weren't as lucky, and everything that so many have gone through because of this virus. It's really devastating results. And it's really it's a really scary thing, because when you have like a pneumonia that comes from a bacteria, a bacterial pneumonia. You treat it with some antibiotics and it goes away. You know what I mean? But with this COVID, what happens is once you have this virus, your white blood cells really start to work really hard. They start to inflame. And what happens is they explode in your lungs. So now you have all these exploded white blood cells in your lungs and all that liquid. And it's a virus. It's not a bacteria that can be treated. So with a virus, it's a pathogen that has to run its course. And if your body's not strong, like so many of these, elderly people and so many with severe, with compromised immune systems, you're not going to be able to fight it or withstand the pathogen from when it starts to when it finishes. And all that, those explode, you're just not going to make it. So it's really, the fatality rate is under 1%. You know what I mean? So out of every 100, the numbers are pretty. I mean, I don't want to even use the word encouraging because that's not really a word to use because so many people died. I just hope and pray that, this comes to an end and we can all get back to our normal lives. And my prayers go out to all those who did lose their lives and their loved ones and everything else that goes with that.
Did you get the vaccine, the COVID vaccine or no?
No, I'm going to, though, because I went for a routine checkup the other day, and my doctor's a good guy. And, so many people are so skeptical about getting this vaccine. And, because you have the Johnson & Johnson one, that's only one shot as opposed to the two that you get. But that one I hear is not as effective. But my doctor said that, and like I said, he's a personal friend. And, sometimes you think, like, should I believe what they say on the news and all this other stuff? And there's so many different things you hear about everything. But my doctor told me, and like I say, he's a personal friend. He said for me to get the vaccine. He said, you don't have a spleen. I said to him, but I had it last year and I have some antibodies. He said, the antibodies do not last forever. And he said, whenever you get the corona, it will never give you the same immunity that the vaccine will. He said, get the vaccine. So I'm going to get the vaccine. I'm going to,
within the next. Have you decided whether you want like Moderna or Pfizer? Is that how you say it? As opposed, since you're not so much for Johnson, trying to Pfizer, right?
Yeah. Pfizer.
I know my mom got that one because she had to for her job, but I know everyone has their. She didn't have a choice. So I don't know, like, if you have a preference or.
At this point, I just think it's going to be one of the two that there's 2 shots required. Because I heard the Johnson & Johnson, it's 1 shot, but I heard that it's not as effective. And, you experience some side effects because there's people that have experienced some pretty severe side effects. So the way I look at it is like, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to get side effects, I'm going to at least get the one that has the greatest amount of efficacy, the power to produce, the effect that I'm looking for rather than get sick for no reason and then test myself and my antibodies. But
speaking of side effects, my friend works with nurses and he knows 5 nurses that took the shot and the side effects they got was blood clot and they end up dying.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle my uncle's a doctor and my aunt is a nurse, and they got it and they got really, really sick. Very sick. And yeah.
Some people survive, some people don't, sadly. But speaking of shots, Dr. Clark over here, he don't agree with that. So go ahead.
It's not what up to me. A virus, a virus, you can't vaccinate really against a virus because the virus can keep mutating. Like a disease, a disease you can vaccinate against, and bacteria. I know that's different. Like you said, it's like you have antibiotics, but a virus it'll constantly keep mutating itself no matter what you do. Somebody that I knew went into the CDC and they said there's even a form of HIV in there that people don't even know about that could kill somebody in 48 hours. So there's a lot of stuff that they have going on. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's with the virus continues to mutate. And if people get it, that they should be safe from the people who don't get it. That's how I see it. People, if they, they're going to get the vaccine, then they should be safe from the people that don't get the vaccine. If they
you're absolutely right.
I feel like,
But the whole thing is this whole fear-based environment in which we live right now. I just think that a lot of this pandemic was so psychological. And I think that, I don't really think it was ever as bad as they said it was. Never did I think they needed to take the measures they needed to take to try to, decrease the spread and all that. I don't think that any of that was necessary. I think they went way overboard. I think a lot of it was to control. Joseph Stalin was, I believe, a Russian leader. Joseph Stalin said he used an example of where he said, I'm going to show you how to govern. We're talking about Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin was a Russian leader, and he talks about, this was way back in the day. He talks about, he shows the people, he says, I'm going to show you how to govern stupid people. What he did was he used a chicken as an example. and he took the chicken, he stripped it of all its feathers and everything. Just really stripped this chicken down to nothing, okay? But here and there, he would give the chicken a little piece of food. And that's the same thing as the stimulus checks. He gives the chicken a little piece of food, and then the chicken will still follow him around, regardless of the fact that he stripped that chicken down, broke him down to nothing, because he gives him a little piece of food, and then another little piece of food, that chicken follows him around. And he controls him. That's the bottom line. That's what they're doing here. There's no need. There was no need, regardless of spread, this and that so many people were not able to feed their families. There was no need for what they did. Listen, this one's grandmother or this or that. The bottom line is people need to feed their families. People need to work, and how they just shut down businesses and they just did everything for this virus that's under 1% fatality rate. There was no need for them to do all that. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. I think maybe we didn't have to be as drastic. And look at Florida. No one wears masks. No one wears masks down there. My friend FaceTime down there, and no one's without a mask. Is there any outbreak or anything different in Florida than anywhere else? Or look at Texas. That's another state. No one wears masks.
Texas. Well, they just lifted it, so they don't actually have to. It's not mandated anymore. Right. Okay. It's more of an option.
Exactly. Okay. So you're going to tell, they have capable leaders. There's grown men and women there that are the leaders that I'm sure. Why do they see that? And where's the numbers? What's going on? I don't understand. California. Yeah, exactly. LA hasn't had a gym open since last March.
I know, my brothers FaceTime me, and they're working out outside in parking lots and stuff. And each parking space has, their designated area.
It's crazy. I ran outside today here. I was telling you, the thin air, boy. Look.
Yeah, the altitude is serious over there.
You outside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What part of Colorado?
Storm is coming, huh?
What part?
This is Denver. We're 10 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're 10
I love Denver. It's nice.
Oh, speaking of that, good thing you said that, because my friend little brother got drafted to the Denver, Colorado, and he said the difference between Florida and Colorado is that the air, pretty much, like you just said,
the altitude.
So yeah, so you're right about that.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I run every single day. I run on a treadmill. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So my lungs, my lung function and my lung capacity is really good. And I have to tell you, when I ran this morning, and I didn't really warm up. I started right at the bottom of the hill. And I wasn't running full speed, but I was running up there, and you feel it in your. Oh yeah. Like somebody, boom, hit you in your chest really hard.
And the higher up you go, the more you feel it too. Yeah,
you really feel it. It doesn't stay like that the whole time, but the adjustment, you know what I mean? It's you remember what's his name? Because your blood has to carry oxygen as well. You know what I mean? You remember what's his name? Remember Lance Armstrong? Remember the cyclist? Remember he kept getting in trouble? Yeah, you know what he was doing? He was doping. It was called blood doping. And what it is it increases your blood's potential to carry oxygen. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what your body's it's not used to carrying. You're used to carrying the amount of oxygen necessary for this altitude of where you live in New York. You know what I mean? And that's what your lung capacity is ready for. And then you come to this, and it's interesting. You know what I mean? I love this kind of stuff. I love to challenge myself physically, mentally, whatever which way. If I was ever going to train for a fight or something like that, not that I'm a fighter, a boxer or something like that, I would come right out to something like this. You know what I mean? And then little by little, before you know it, I'll be in the highest altitude possible. Just nice.
Getting ready like Rocky.
Yeah. Trying to stay young. I'll be 45 this summer. I'm just trying to stay young. I wish I was 25, but that's not the case.
Isn't your birthday coming soon? I think I saw.
No. That's a mistake. March 30th is a mistake. If you want to wish me happy birthday on the 30th, you want to send me a little something, that's
He's like, yeah, I'll take anything. Go ahead and send me a gift.
Yeah, no, March 30th is a mistake because when I was incarcerated back in '09, when I first went upstate after being in Rikers for 3 years, we took my ID, they took my ID picture, and they are the ones that made the error in the birth date. And for some reason it's stuck. So when you go online, it's March 30th, but it's really August 30th. 8/30/76 is my real birthday.
That's actually my cousin's birthday, and my daughter's the 19th.
Oh, okay.
August birthdays.
Yeah, Virgo.
So let's start from the beginning and tell us how your childhood was. So you were adopted growing up. You never met your real parents?
No, never met my real parents, but I was adopted when I was 4 months old from an orphanage in South America, in Bogota, Colombia. So it's like, at that point in time, there's no need to meet my real parents, because at like 4 months, why would I want to disrupt anything? The only reason why I would even want to meet them or even know anything is just to see if I'm maybe like genetically predisposed to some kind of illness that maybe I can take precautions for now, or prepare myself for now. Well, this runs in my family and I know this causes it, and or this, maybe I won't do this. That's the only reason why, because I'm very health conscious. But other than that, I mean, listen, I love Colombians. I love the Colombian culture. So it's nothing about that, but it's like, I grew up Italian, and my parents are my parents, although my dad, he passed away a couple years ago, but that's who I recognize as my mom and dad, my brother Vincent, and that's my family. But like I said, by no means do I mean anything negative, about the Colombian culture and heritage, because I love it very much and everything, about it and what it stands for.
They never try to reach out to you?
No.
Wow.
Who the hell even knows, Yeah, that was like, 1976. That was a long time ago. Who the hell knows if he's even still alive or where they could be,
Yeah, because some people, when they grow up, as they get older, they want to figure out who their mom and dad is, and that's why I'm surprised you said that you didn't really want to see them. You just cared about the health.
Yeah, that's a classic, perfect case of what you don't know don't hurt you, because you never know what you could stumble on. You don't know what you could stumble on. You could be looking for these people and you find them, and they'll be like the worst people in the world you wanted to find. And now for the rest of your life, you have to think about that I'm part of that stock. That's what I came from. Two pieces of shit, like really could be, you know what I mean? That may very well be the case. So why would I, at 45 years old, why would I want to disrupt what I already perceive life as being and what it is for me, mom, dad, brother Vincent, when this is, there's a very good chance that there's going to be disappointment. There's no, you know what I mean? So that's the way I look at that. There's a good chance. So, and it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Health-wise, I feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even trying to brag. The other day, I went for my health checkup. My blood pressure was 120/80. My temperature was 98.6. Like, I'm right on the money. You know what I mean? So whatever I'm doing, it's working right now. So let's leave it alone, and let's leave those Let's leave those South Americans alone for right now.
That was the time around Pablo Escobar too, and everything. So yeah, you just never know what happened.
Yeah, man.
You could be related.
You're right about that. Because I watched the show Narcos, and that was taking place right around when I was conceived and born, 75, 76. And I see a lot of this crazy shit that went on in the show. Like, there's a joke that God says, an angel says to God, he says, because Colombia's got the Andes Mountains, the Amazon jungle, all in one country. You got water on three sides. It's got gold. It's got oil. It's got emeralds. It's got the second biggest exporter of flowers, in the world. So, with that being said, think about how beautiful and floral and probably blue beautiful the country is. You know what I mean? It's, the flag is three colors. The flag is yellow, blue, and red. The yellow is for the gold found in the country. The blue is for the water on the three sides, and the red is for the blood that all the people have shed over the years with the violence. Because Colombia is known for a violent country, and they've even taken violence to like an art form, like you know what I mean? Like what Colombia they do all of that kind of like, they make art out of being violent and killing people. And that's what a necktie is. You know what a Colombian necktie is?
Yeah, I've seen the Colombian necktie. Yeah,
yeah, they rip you right here and they pull your tongue through right? They rip your tongue and pull it out here. So your tongue, it's a Colombian necktie. They do stuff like that, like real. So the angel says to God, he says, how do you bless this one country with, so many beautiful things, with oil, with gold, with, all of these beautiful things. And then God says, wait till you see the people. So I mean, like the people messed up. That's why. So, and in that show, you see like women getting raped and, like the men just like, you know what I mean? Like the way they were just like raping women and stuff like that. Like it was a very common practice. So like, it makes me think like, maybe was I one of those babies that was conceived through something like that? It's possible that it wasn't, but it's possible that it was. You know what I mean?
You never know.
The possibility is not a definite. So it's not locked in my mind that, you know what I mean? So now I say I go and find out that it really was. Come on, I don't want to be living, you know what I mean? You don't want to it just will be counterproductive right now. I'm in a good space, good headspace.
Exactly, that's true.
Career-wise, things are starting to work out for me again, and which I'm very blessed for. And I just think I have created a system in my life that works for me. I've obviously the hard way. I've seen what things don't work for me and what things do. So, I'm good, I'm good. But yeah, I grew up in, Yonkers, New York. I was adopted. I grew up, my neighborhood was pretty much very Italian because we moved around a little, but then we settled in this one neighborhood. We were all pretty much Italian with the exception of my neighbor who was Puerto Rican. It was a great childhood. I mean, I grew up, had everything. My father built homes. It was me and my brother, Vincent, who's not my biological brother. We're 9 months apart because he's their real son because they didn't think they could have any more kids. They adopted me. They found out they were pregnant with my brother, Vincent. Like I said, I was a bad kid in school. I moved around a little bit. I got in trouble, like being a class clown, but I was always a good student. Then and right after I finished 10th grade, I started hearing about this. Well, I heard about it here and there about this film called The Bronx Tale and that they were looking for someone to play the part. Like it was, everywhere. It was everywhere. And I heard of different kids that went to read for the part. And summer vacation, July 5th, 1992, I was on the beach and they were handing out flyers that day. And the guy found my brother. And my brother was like, whoa, hold on a second. He was like, let me get my brother. He's like, he'll be perfect for this. Because people always told me that I looked like De Niro. And I used to do like impersonations. So like when this role, this opportunity came to be, it's like I was born to do this. Like this, like I was born. The day I was born was to play this part. That's the way I saw it. The name Calogero, my father's from a town in Sicily. The saint from that town is Calogero. So I know that name. I have relatives that have that name. So it was just like a perfect fit. Wow. Right age.
My friend actually named her son that name because of the movie and that part.
Yeah, a lot of people. You'd be so surprised. Kids come, oh, hey, my name's Calogero. My mom named you because of that movie. And I felt like saying, well, your mom's, I should get some residual.
Yeah.
Every time somebody tells you that's $10. No. So, then I went, they found me. I went and auditioned. They loved me. I kept getting called back. Eventually I met De Niro. I got the part. And it was, very surreal. I was 15, turning 16, summer of 92. Then, we actually started shooting. So now it's like, wow, this is really happening. In front of the camera, and De Niro was there and he was the director. So a lot of times I wasn't even working with him, but he was there every day. So we finished that. Turned out to be a big success, obviously. Yeah. So then I went to do like Renaissance Man. Went on to do Renaissance Man, Crimson Tide, Sopranos. I did all these these films and great films with Denzel and Danny DeVito and Sopranos and so many opportunities. But then with those those opportunities came a lot of temptation, my and just my access to drugs and alcohol. Became a lot more because now you're frequenting these parties and going out and I guess I succumbed. I succumbed to drugs and alcohol. It's getting really bad and with the cocaine and I started the pills when I jumped out of a car one night, destroyed my whole head. because I was paranoid from the cocaine, thought that my friends were going to kill me. So then I started taking the pills for that, and then I got addicted to them, and then I became a heroin addict. I never shot it intravenously because I had money. I had a decent amount of money at that time, so I didn't have to shoot it. I was able to afford snorting it, 10, 20 bags a day. And then I started, I became a crack addict as well. So that was like, pretty much took over my whole life. Like in 2005, that took over my whole life. So you figure from like June to December of 2005, those were the worst months of my life. I don't know how I made it past those months, but, and then on December 10th, 2005, my ex-girlfriend's father and I went to go see a friend in the Bronx who, I thought would have drugs because we couldn't find anywhere. He was a heroin addict as well. We were both getting sick. So I went to visit a friend, the guy I hadn't seen in a while, but people just can't believe this. They think it's like a burglary. Meanwhile, I'm screaming the guy's name, Kenny. I'm making all this noise. There's witnesses that hear me screaming the guy's name. You know what I mean? But they still want to say it was a burglary because it was a cop. Like when it's a cop, bets are off. It's a cop, but it's a cop. It doesn't matter. It's a person. A person was killed that night, not whether it was a cop or not. You know what I mean? Not that I don't respect law enforcement, it has nothing to do with that. But when you say like, oh, Bo, you're a cop, it doesn't mean that you're better than me because you're a member of law enforcement. We're all the same. You know what I mean? I'm going to be as much of a loss to my loved ones as you are going to be to yours. So therefore, we're equal, right? Because you wear a uniform doesn't mean that you're better than me. That's the way I see it anyway. So, and then, with that whole situation, I went to see a friend, made all this noise, and that's why all these people heard me. And that's why the off-duty police officer who lived next door, he heard me as well. And usually, like when you're trying to commit a burglary, you don't make all that noise. Burglars are very discreet, right? You would like everybody heard me. That's not a burglary, but they charged me with it. And then the cop came outside, who we didn't know was a cop. He heard noise. He said to me, "Don't move." And I turned like that. But he didn't say, it's 5:30 in the morning. And when you say don't move, you know what I mean? It's just a natural reaction. I'm smoking crack, I'm paranoid, and I jumped and I moved. And then when I moved, he started shooting me. And he shot me. He shot me like 3 times. Let me see if So that's what.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, they make this cop, like, the way they make this cop out to be like a hero. And listen, he may be in some regard, but you know what? He came out. I wasn't armed. I never had a gun in my life. You know what I mean? I have no record. I had no record prior to that night. I gave no reason as to why you should start doing that. You didn't see the other guy in the alleyway. You just saw me. You saw I was walking away and you started shooting when I turned around. So
that wasn't his apartment, correct? He was a neighbor, right?
Huh?
The cop was a neighbor, right?
Right. He was a neighbor and he lived in the house. He lived in the house that the little kid from the Bronx Tale who played me at 9 years old, his sister was my first love. And we met on the set of the film. So listen to this. Like, this is like crazy. Like, we used to wash clothes. Like, she was like my first love. You know what I mean? I was like 16. She was 15. And we were like 2 kids. You know what I mean? Like, I used to go downstairs with her and wash clothes with her. And we would like kiss and stuff like that in that apartment. You know what I mean? And wash clothes. Little did I know, like, not even the best writer in Hollywood would be able to write a story or anyone could predict, like, okay, you're in this apartment now, but 10 years from now, there's going to be an off-duty police officer that's going to be here, that's going to live here, So that's how I knew the neighbor, the guy who we were going to get pills from. You know what I mean? And he was my friend. He was an older guy. He was a Vietnam veteran.
Kenny, right? His name was Kenny?
Yes, his name was Kenny. And I knew him. He would like leave the door open for me. When I used to be with my ex-girlfriend, I would get into a fight or whatever. The door would be open. I'd just walk in his apartment in the middle of the night and he'd give me Valium or whatever I want. You know what I mean? Because he was a little loopy from the war. And I think for people to really understand what this case is about, people needed to know Kenny and the relationship we had. It wasn't normal. I used to climb through his window My friend Charlie, he passed away. He testified at my trial that I used to climb through his window in the middle of the night, and he lived with his aunt, and I wasn't going to rob them. Charlie had back surgery, and he used to get the pills for his back. So at night when I used to get sick, I know he would have a whole bottle full of pills, and I would go to his house and literally bring a ladder from my father's job, and I would bring the van and climb up his window and go in the window in the middle of the night to wake him up and say, yo, bro, please, bro, can I just get like 2, please? Like I'm waking him up, please. You know what I mean? That's an addict. There's no intent to commit a crime in the dwelling. I'm just going to wake the guy up. But because it was a cop, they throw every charge at you, and, it is what it is. But remember, he started shooting first. And if he didn't do that, maybe things could have been different, But
you got to look at it like this too. He heard noise too, because you said you broke the window, and he heard noise, so that's the reason why he came to the apartment and he did that. But I understand what you're saying too, because when you're an addict and you're all like antsy, when somebody say don't move, you're gonna move because
bro. Yeah, trust me. Even if you're not antsy,
yeah, exactly.
At 5:30 in the morning on a cold December night in the Bronx, if somebody says, hey, don't move.
I don't really know who they're talking about either. It's like when somebody says, don't look, you're like, what?
It's a natural.
Don't look.
It's a natural reaction. Even if you tried not to do that, you would still do that, because that's your instinct as a human to do. You hear a strange, unfamiliar voice. Your instinct as a human is to see who that strange, unfamiliar voice is.
Yeah, you can be like, who is that?
Your body's going to react and do.
Not going to lie, though. If he would have said, don't move, I'm a police officer, I got a gun out, then I'm not going to move.
That's different. If he said, don't move, police, I got a gun. Believe me, don't move. But you know what? He didn't say that. And his landlord testified that he didn't say that. His landlord testified. He said, don't move, but he never said, don't move, police. I'm not to listen. The kid came out. He thought he was doing the right thing, and I respect him for that. And, I guess his heart and his intentions were in the right place. I'll never be the same again because of, I know he's dead, and, I'm still alive, and I shouldn't be saying that, but you still shot me, and I wasn't armed. So that stands for something, believe me,
Yeah, that's the sad part about it. Is that somebody,
because, you have a gun, and you're a cop, and you feel that it's okay to just start shooting. You can't do that. You should have been trained better than that. I was walking away. I have my back to you. I'm no threat at all. There's no reason why you should have been shooting me. I was walking away. They could see where the blood drops are. And then mysteriously, a bloody glove of mine with blood on the glove, a latex glove, which I never wore, was on the windowsill. How conveniently. How does that happen when I'm shot down there? But then we found out it wasn't my glove, but it was my blood. It was EMS, the EMS people that worked on me on the scene. But then again, that was down the street. How did the glove get on the windowsill?
The cops probably went up to the EMS, was like, yo, let me get that. What are you doing with that? Let me see that. And
yeah,
put
but
it up there.
You know what, though? You know what? Whoever worked with who, I still beat him. And I got on the stand. And, you know what it is? I used to take a whole different approach. I know you're probably thinking, this guy's cocky and this guy's this and this. You know what, though? Let me tell you something. I took a whole different approach for many years. I came home from prison as humble and as nice of a guy and as respectful toward law enforcement that I could have been, okay? I've dedicated a huge portion of my life to trying to help other addicts. That's from the heart. I know what my parents went through, sitting on a couch night after night, wondering if they're going to get that call that I died or some other shit happened. You know what I mean? So I know what it's like. It's the worst thing in the world. It's the worst disease in the world because it's right there in front of you to fix at any time that you want, but you're still so powerless and helpless that you don't fix it. Like if you got stage 4 cancer, that's a disease. When it's at that stage, you can't do anything to save yourself. You're done. You're done. Look at Steve Jobs. The guy had more money than anybody in the world. And he couldn't even do anything with that. But this is why addiction is so, and even all those years, I was respectful toward law enforcement. you would think like maybe one day they would say, you know what, Lillo, we know it wasn't you. We know you weren't the one that shot the cop. We know you've made a really, valiant and brave effort to turn things around and to prove to people that you're a better person. And we've seen all the countless people that you've helped along the way and stuff like that. But they don't do that. Law enforcement doesn't do that, And like I was at a school in Jersey. I was at a school in Jersey City, that I went to. I didn't get paid. I provided my own transportation. I went there, and police, after they heard that I was there, they made a big deal in the newspaper, said, right message, wrong messenger, and talking all the about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to be here to protect and serve the community. You're supposed to be here to protect and, so put your whatever it is to the side and look at the greater good. The greater good is this guy took time out of his day, regardless of what his past was or not. But sometimes we need someone with a past like this to come and talk to these kids so these kids won't have a past like he did. So these cops should never in a million years say anything bad about this guy. I could see if, it was something about maybe me drinking and driving and I hit somebody, like, this asshole's back to his old tricks. Then you want to talk bad about me. That's fine. But I'm here doing the right thing. I'm going to schools trying to talk, not getting paid, trying to do the right thing. And you still want to talk about me. And it's like, now I feel like maybe now I feel that I do want to take a little different approach. And it was because of things like that, time and time again, that make you say, you know what? Maybe I'm not dealing with this the right way. Maybe I shouldn't be to a certain extent, I was maybe a little afraid because I know, like going up, against, that's a very tough one. You can't beat law enforcement. I mean, there's so many of them, they stick together, but I'm not looking to beat anybody. I'm not looking to beat anybody.
I was just about to bring that up.
Survive and get on with my life. When you keep, you know what I mean? That's all I want to do.
Have you ever thought about this though? That the reason why, because for most people, if they're not a high profile like you are, cops usually pick on them or bully them because of situations like that. So do you think that the fact that you're a high profile, that the cops are not messing with you like that?
No, they do mess with me.
Yeah, but not to a certain extent. To like, if somebody wasn't like as a high profile as you, they mess with you. But it's like, I think it could have been worse if you wasn't high profile.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think if I wasn't high profile, I don't think they would have even given a shit. Because if they could have messed with me,
nobody would really know who you were.
Yeah, because nobody would know, and it would go unnoticed. But going noticed, they're saying, let's make an example out of this guy. Because everybody sees what's going on. Let's show people what happens if they mess with law enforcement. Let's make an example out of this kid right here. Trust me. They went above and beyond, But it's all right because it never broke me. It made me 20 times stronger. When something like that happens, you would think I want to say, fuck you. No, I don't. I just want to be better. Like in my mind, like I'll show you with some great thing that I'm going to do right now, that when you see what it is, you're going to be like, wow, look what he just did.
Took the high road.
Yeah. I'm not going to, there's no, come on, I'm too good for that. I would never do that. I would never sink to that level. Because, I'm the one saying how I want this behind me. So I can't keep going back at it like that. You know what I mean? So the best thing is you just become successful and you just move on,
I wanted to take a step back and go to the part where your girlfriend's father calls you and then you go out that night. But you guys usually don't even go out at night. You guys usually hang out during the day. What made it, like, why did y'all end up going out at nighttime?
I mean, he never really called me at that time to go out. It would always be, he'd be hanging out at the bar in the neighborhood and he'd ask me, are you going south? And when he says, are you going south? It means, are you going to the Bronx? Because he knows that's where I used to get my heroin. And he used to do heroin also. So he's saying, if you go and let me know, I want to take a ride. I want to grab something. So that was really the extent of our friendship. It was to, go get drugs. That was the first night we ever hung out. He called me.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys hanged out on the regular, because you were really trying to see your girlfriend, your ex-girlfriend.
we were hanging out on a regular, but it was for that purpose only. It was not like, let's go grab something to eat or it was to go get drugs. I'd drop him off at the bar where he hung out, and then I'd go my way until I got the next call or I called him or whatever it was. That night he called me and said, Lillo, what's up? You want to get a drink? I was already in bed about to fall asleep, but I knew, like, he likes to get high, he likes to smoke, he likes to snort. So I said, yeah. I said, all right, let's go out. I said, let me get ready. Let me take a shower and I'll come pick you up. And I went to pick him up. It was like a little after midnight. It was a Friday night into Saturday morning, December 9th into December 10th, 2005. I went to go pick him up. I remember he was already on the sidewalk. I made the U-turn. We went to go get crack right in Yonkers. And then we drove down to the Bronx, this strip club. It was called Crazy Horse. My friend John ran the place. So when we went in, we didn't go through the metal detector. We went around, which was part of the case also, because they were, they wanted to know, did Lillo know about the gun? Now, if we go through a metal detector and it goes off and the guy who was with me has a gun and it's on camera that he has it, I'm getting convicted of murder. But we didn't go through the metal detector for no other reason other than the fact my friend John ran the place. And when he seen us from where he was standing, he told the bouncers, have them go around. They're friends of the club. Have them go around. And that's what we did. Because there was a line, you know what I mean, at the metal detector. So like, each guy takes a few seconds. Because you go through the detector, then they scan you and all that. So my boy was like, let him go around, because if he's going to sit there, he's going to wait for another at least 5 minutes for all these guys to get scanned and searched and all that. So we went in. Did he have a wife?
Did he have a wife?
The guy I was with?
Yeah.
No, he was single by himself.
Just his daughter that you used to date, correct?
He had twin daughters. They lived upstairs, but he lived in his own apartment, and he wasn't with their mother anymore.
Okay, and the girl you used to date, did she know that you guys used to get high together?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, and that's one of the reasons why she broke up with you, right? Because she had to go to law school or no doctor. Medical school. Medical school, yeah.
Yeah, because my drugs, my drug addiction was getting, really bad, and so she got worried, and then she broke up with me, and that's when it escalated, But I could proudly say I'm sober since November 18th, 2006. My life's back in order, working again in the film and television business. I'm here in Colorado right now. My friend's house is also my partner. We produced a film together called The Fury. It's like a vigilante movie. It's like a quid pro quo. It's like, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. It's got great action, great story. It's well shot. You're going to really like it. We're not done yet. We screened it last night. We all took some notes as to things we think should be different or things should be changed. And we had a little bit, we had invited some people also as well and we told them, do not be afraid to criticize. If you think something sucks, tell us it sucks. This is the time now to tell us before it's too late and we lock it in. And then it's like, you know what I mean? When we could have avoided it or reshot it or did it, whatever. So that's called, the working title is called The Fury. We may change that. Believe it or not, I play a member of law enforcement in that. And I'm also a producer on that. So that's really cool. We're actually going to shoot a couple of scenes tonight, because now that we put the movie together, we're looking at little things little gaps where like, maybe we could use a little driving shot right there. Or maybe we can use you looking out the window right there to connect that with that. Just little things to make the story a little more cohesive. And then I know, I'm going to tell you this for the 5th time. And then tomorrow is supposed to snow this whole weekend. So it's like, so we got to try to see what we got to do tonight, because tomorrow we're supposed to shoot a scene in an auto body shop. And that, like an auto body shop, that like me coming through. Because I'm going to like the finale, this big shootout, and I go to the auto body shop. In an auto body shop, the reason why we chose an auto body shop is because if you think about it, your senses become very heightened when you're watching a scene like that in a film. Think about watching a big screen and watching a film, and now the character enters an auto body shop. You know what I mean? So now you're going to have all different sounds from all the different tools. All the different, the sound is so important. You know what I mean? And then visually, you're going to have maybe one scene where a guy's cutting a door with the saw, and you see the sparks flying everywhere. we're going to have like quick cuts, and it's going to look like really awesome. It's going to look really fast. And it's going to look, you know, we want that. Because I think of myself sitting in that audience, in that seat, and watching this big, like, it's not a big budget film, but we want it to look like it is, and the way it's shot and all that. It certainly does look like it is. So that's what we always have in mind when we try to shoot things and stuff like that. So that's that. I have a short film that I did with Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos, Tony's daughter. I play an abusive dad. Bruce Springsteen actually gave us a song for the film called I'm on Fire, and the film's called I'm on Fire. His song is called I'm on Fire because he was abused as a kid. So this film is near and dear to his heart. You know, I've saw it. It's awesome, well acted, it's well shot, and so I'm happy about that. And then I did something called Made in Mexico that Mario Lopez produced. And Mario's, you know, good friend, who's also my good friend, Rodney Rinks, AKA Tootie. He wrote the film, directed it. I play Mexican with the accent, so that's cool. That's something also that I'm looking forward to. And then I did this thing. We shot this thing. You could see it on my Instagram. It's one scene. It's a thing we called Sleepyhead, where it takes, you got to watch it. It's like really good. It's really good. It's got like a really eerie concept. And when you find out where they are, you're going to really like it. And right now, the writer-director is currently, he started a crowdfunding page trying to raise like 20,000. I think he raised like 5 or something like that. So, you know, little by little. And I also work in drug treatment. I work for a company in Metuchen, New Jersey. It's an IOP, intensive outpatient. It's called More Life Recovery. I'm director of public relations over there.
Oh, nice.
Congrats. You got promoted?
Say again?
Congrats. You got promoted? Last time I seen that you were like the national coordinator or something like that.
Outreach coordinator.
Coordinator, yeah.
But that was with a different company.
Okay.
I still do outreach work. Outreach work, you know, entails like people reaching out to me on social media, and, you know, either some kid's mother or some kid themselves or whoever, basically saying like, you know, I'm messed up. I'm I'm getting high on pills. I'm addicted, and I want help. And then we see, you know, and I you know, it is what it is, but it's about, you want to help as many people as possible. But the truth is you can't help everyone. You just can't. Believe me, I try to, you know, and there's so many people out there suffering from, you know, addiction, and it's just crazy. So we try to see, you know, if we can find the place, the right fit for them to get the help that they need to come back into society and be productive members of it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, you know, speaking of addiction, you know, I went to went to a few kava bars with a friend and some friends. And I didn't know like the crowd there, but the crowd was really cool, you know, at the kava bars. They're really cool. People from different backgrounds, all walks of life. And then, you know, somebody told me, they're like, you know why a lot of people go to kava bars? I was like, no. I was like, I'm just drinking it. And it got me messed up the first time I drank it. I didn't know what it was because it's non-alcoholic. And I'm like, man, it's just tea. It's just whatever. Just messed me up. But people that go there, they actually go there for addiction, like to get over their addiction, because there's no alcohol, there's no drug in it. It's an actual kava root. I'm sure you know about it, right?
Yeah, and it helps. I don't know much about it, but I've heard.
Yeah, and I didn't know it. It's super potent, but it's no alcohol, no drugs in it. It's just like the herbal tea is from the root, so it's like ginger, but it's not ginger. It's super strong, man. And you know, that's a way that people get over their addiction, and some people just wean off of it and they just stop doing it and do their own thing. And if they feel like they have to go back, then they go to drink the kava. It's just something I'm putting out there so anybody else who may be, you know, suffering or from
every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. Addiction is just so mysterious. It comes in so many different forms. There's so many different ways that different people remedy it. You know, but I think the bottom line, it's a combination of things. I think, you know, the first thing is like someone who's an addict, their brain function doesn't work the same way as someone who's not an addict. You know, like dopamine, it's a neurotransmitter that your brain produces, and you have a dopamine processing system in your brain. And now someone who's an addict, their dopamine processing system does not work as well as someone who's an addict. I mean, who's not an addict, I mean. So it's like there's always something missing where like someone who's not an addict, it's just fine. Everything flows because their dopamine is like normal. It's just going through life. But then you get someone whose dopamine processing system is not up to par. Then they get depressed. And you notice in a lot of kids who become addicts, they eat a lot of sweets because they fill that hole. They try to fill the hole with sugar and stuff like that. And that's really because as they get older, then they discover drugs and alcohol. And then that's what they use. So it's like, what are you running away from? What are you trying to escape from? I think people who are well-adjusted and have good lives, I don't think they really, I mean, it's very rare that you see someone like that use and abuse drugs. People use and abuse drugs for a reason. There's always some kind of reason, whether you realize it or not. Even subconsciously, there's something in your life that you're not happy with, that you're trying to escape. And this is why you go for that instant gratification. But things that bring us, instant gratification seldom lead to long-term happiness. You know what I mean? It's like the things that we work hard for that take time and over time you earn are the things that will bring us long-term happiness. And for so many years, you think the drugs are going to do that. And, they steal that ambition and that desire you have inside you. And then you realize like,
it's true though. Me and my husband own two barber shops. So we actually have a bunch of rehab facilities we work with that we go to in detox centers. So we go there and actually give all of them haircuts and, blow dries and stuff like that, just so that way, maybe if they feel better, they'll do a little better. But, it has changed my perspective because I grew up in the Bronx. So, most of the addicts, you see on the streets and stuff, you don't really know them as like high profile or, anything like that for me, at least, so then working, you get older, you learn, you see, but then working and hearing most of their stories and stuff like that, it's crazy that they either come from great lives and it could be something as simple to like a cat dying and everybody has their own reason. So it's like you can't even justify or judge any reason because what may not be a big deal to one person is to another. And it's just
different people have different triggers. There'd be something you off that this person wouldn't even think twice about. But now you're off to the races. And now, you just relapsed after being, clean for 3 months. And now you're going to go. And believe me, when you relapse, you make up for lost times. And that's why a lot of people die. Because like body's clean and then they want to go make up for lost times. And their body's like, well, I can't take all this right now. Then you're dead. And I would be afraid to relapse right now. I really would. Because you got all this like fentanyl that they put in heroin and all these other drugs. And fentanyl is like a very strong pain medication.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 10 times stronger than morphine. You know what I mean? When
they're putting it in everything now, too. So it's like you can't trust anything from anybody, no matter what.
Because it's cheap. It's cheap. And they cut it. And they're getting so much for their money. You know what I mean? They're increasing their profit margin by so much. But, at the cost of people dying. So it's like, do you really want to kill your customers? Like, how are you really making money if you're killing these people? It's very sad. I would be afraid. I don't want to say I'm almost happy that there's fentanyl because so many people are dying. And that would be the dumbest thing in the world for me to say. But sometimes, sometimes I think about it. I'm like, wow, because I would never. That would be one of the biggest reasons why I wouldn't get high right now. And it's because I'd be afraid to get a bag with fentanyl and then I'd be dead, So it's just.
I wanted to ask you, as you look back to your life, like when you were 15 years old and you started smoking weed, and some people say that weed is a gateway drug to other drugs. Do you believe that now or no?
I don't.
I don't.
No? I think alcohol is way more of a gateway drug. It's like, if anything, when I used to be, when I was in active addiction, when I used to drink alcohol was when I wanted to smoke crack. And then when I wanted to snort dope to come down from the crack. And then I'd be down so much that I want crack to come back up, and then I'd be out for 4 days. But that's what the alcohol starts. It was the gateway to that, okay? When I used to smoke weed, it was the opposite. Weed used to, see, alcohol, you could have your guard up. Once you start drinking, your guard goes down. And now you get loose. Say you've been on a diet for 3 months. You had a couple of drinks, you're not going to think twice about going to have that bacon cheeseburger. You're going to go have it, trust me. You're all drunk, and the next day you say, oh, what did I do, right? That's what happens when you get drunk. You cheat on your girlfriend, you do this, you do that. When you're smoking weed and you don't think, you don't use your better judgment, and there's no reason that you will not resist the temptation of going to get high. But when I used to smoke marijuana, say I was out the night before on a Thursday night, and I go out and drink and sniff coke, and I'm out all night. I finally get home at like 11 in the morning. I'm geeked out of my mind. I'm paranoid. I can't even talk. But then let's say that Friday night, right? I know if I go out and I drink, the same thing's going to happen. But you know what? If I smoked marijuana, it would suppress that. Because what would happen because of the marijuana, my consequential thinking will kick in. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't have consequential thinking, especially when you're drinking alcohol. Addicts don't have it already. But when you're drinking alcohol, you have it a lot less. But now, when I'm smoking marijuana, it's a little different. Now I think to myself, if I go out tonight, I'm going to get drunk again and start doing coke. And tomorrow I got my nephew's soccer game. Nah, I'm just going to wait till tomorrow night because I don't got to do nothing on Sunday. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to stay home and smoke weed tonight. Maybe I'll get some pizza or something, watch a movie. That's what happens when you smoke weed. Is there anything wrong with that? Sitting home and having pizza, enjoying your night, and resisting going out and drinking and killing somebody behind the wheel and going to other drugs? Marijuana is not a gateway drug. Don't ever let anyone fool you. Watch, now that it's going to be legal everywhere, because they wanted everybody to use alcohol because it was legal. Watch now, it's going to become legal everywhere. That word gateway, you're not going to hear it anymore. That word's going to be
They're going to be taxing everybody on that.
With alcohol now, they can't call it a gateway drug because then they wouldn't make any money off of it.
What, with the weed?
No, with alcohol, like they don't call it a gateway drug.
No, they can't because, like you said, they make so much money. But you're saying marijuana is, but alcohol, people lose.
I don't think it is.
People lose their lives. People lose their families. Grown men and women.
It's true.
They're infants. They're little babies because of alcohol. Have you ever heard of someone losing their little baby, or have you ever heard that of someone losing their family? Smoking too much weed? No, it doesn't happen. That was all because it wasn't legal and they were getting tax money from it. Now that it's going to be legal, the words
Lisa says selling
words, you're not going to hear them anymore. Now you're going to hear about all the positive attributes. They're going to be on TV talking about how marijuana is good for your joints. Marijuana is good for your vision. Marijuana is good for your hearing. Marijuana is good for your smelling. Marijuana is good for. Why do we know this all these years? That's what's going to happen now. You know, it's nobody. People you go on these dating sites. When they ask, when you set up like a profile, they don't. You know what? It's like, do you do drugs? No. Do you smoke weed? No. It's a separate question. It's not lumped in the drug category anymore. It's done. It's over. It's gone. Like the coronavirus, the pandemic. Finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know. But go ahead.
Go ahead, Clark.
Oh, no, I was gonna go to a different topic because I really wanted to ask you, like, you know, on the set of the Bronx Tale. Like, I know we're kind of skipping over things, but like, how was it being in the movies with those guys? Because I know there was a real those guys were actually tied into the mob, like some of them. And how was it working with Robert De Niro?
Well, working with Robert De Niro was great. I mean, like I said, he was always my idol. And then to work with him in that capacity of like a director-actor dynamic and then actor-actor dynamic, It was just surreal that I was able to work with that guy, a living legend in both those ways, in both those capacities. It's great working with Chaz Palminteri and everybody, all the cast, the crew was great. I'm still friends with a lot of the, few of the people from the film, and we still see each other, even though it's almost 30 years ago. But let me go right back. I was saying I work for the company More Life Recovery, Director of Public Relations. So I do outreach work. Okay. I do those inspirational videos, 2 of them a week. But our slogan is, we give you more choices so that you can have more life. We are the first in the state of New Jersey that allows medical marijuana. So it's the safest alternative there is. You can't have someone go from using these heavy narcotics to nothing. It's just not possible. There has to be something where they can land a little softer. And the marijuana, and like I was saying, it increases your consequential thinking. It really makes you think. You know what I mean? And I don't really see the harm in it. I really don't. I mean, listen, if you're smoking all day and you're sitting on your couch and eating potato chips and watching TV, that's a little bit of a problem. But it was great working on that film, A Bronx Tale. I learned so much, and it just seems to be the gift that keeps giving. I mean, like almost 30 years later, I still benefit from that film. But then again, it could be a curse as well. It's usually a blessing, but it could be a curse in the sense where, that character in that film is so iconic that people can't see you past that. So that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. It was great. I mean, everything I worked on was great. It was just so many. It's just a different experience every time. Drea Di Matteo, she played like my wife in that. That was about the street heroin trade. And it took place in the late 80s, early 90s. It was actually based on a true story. There was a police precinct. They were dirty cops. It was called the Dirty 30. I don't know if you could look that up.
So I heard of that.
Yeah, the Dirty 30. They were 30th precinct, and they were kidnapping drug dealers and robbing them. So that was a real story that really happened. And it was, I've been really blessed to have been given the opportunity to work in the film and television business. So many people try their whole lives to get in that business, and did pretty well. And I hope to God that I can continue, in that direction. And if not, then so be it. Then that's not what God wanted for me. There's something else out there for me. It's not the end of the world. Like, well, Lillo, you making any more movies? And I'm like, listen, there's much more to life than movies, and I get so much more fulfillment in doing what I do as far as working in the drug treatment industry and with the kids and the grown men and women that I work with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and the fulfillment that I get, through that film, because so many people love that film and love me in it, that when I speak to them about addiction or whatever it is, they really take heed and they really listen, because they respect me. They respect, the film, and they respect what I was in that and how I am, how I came to be and how I overcame. So it's like to be able to get through to people in a way that's going to help them turn their lives around is much more fulfilling than being in some movie. It's great. Don't get me wrong, because it shows those that need inspiration, that it can happen. So the more successful I am in the film and television, business, it will show others like, wow, this guy's really doing it. And he was one of us, and he is one of us, which means we can do it as well,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Yeah. And it's like accountability also on both ways too, like for you and then for the people that you're motivating, just accountability, because like they don't want to let you down and you don't want to let them down.
Yeah, that whole accountability concept is a very big, me as a gratefully recovering addict, accountability is so important, because it's so easy when we're not held accountable to someone else. It's so easy to put something off until tomorrow. Like, you know what? I'm a little tired. I'll just do it tomorrow. But when you're accountable, you're being held accountable to someone else. You know what I mean? That person gives you that extra push that, that you needed to where you actually did what you were supposed to do. Whereas if that person wasn't there, you wouldn't have did it, So accountability, that concept is very, very big part of addiction and overcoming addiction.
Yeah, well, I forgot to tell you that yesterday was my first time watching A Bronx Tale. And me watching it, I was like, now I see why everybody said this is a classic. I actually liked it a lot, especially towards the end where it kind of gave you as the actor, the little kid or the teenager, insight of how to be a man from a mobster and a hardworking man. And I was like, wow, this is you don't see a lot of movies that do that like that no more nowadays.
No, it was definitely, and to see Robert De Niro in that role was also to see him in a role where he took the back seat and he wasn't the tough guy.
For sure.
As the hardworking father, that to me is what made that film.
Yes.
What he was awesome. He was great in that movie.
Yeah.
He was preaching. He was actually preaching some good stuff. But as a teenager, you think you so bad, like a bad boy. You're not listening to him.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like my own dad talking to me kind of a little bit. I was like, wow, this is like, this is so relatable.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And I mean, especially I was the age of the character. My dad was De Niro's. I was able to relate and identify with that character on so many different levels. And there was a very special film, no doubt. None of us knew that it would be what it back then, what it would be today.
Yeah.
You do a film, it may have some success, but 30 years later to be regarded as a classic. And then, when they show like on AMC, when they do all the classic films and they show you the commercial and they advertise it, you'll see like a little clip from The Godfather and then a little clip from, Goodfellas and then a little clip from The Bronx Tale. Like, wow. You know what I mean? Like thinking so many years ago, growing up with all Italian Americans, we loved those kind of movies. And when the holidays would come, we'd sit down and as many times as we watched the movie, if it was on TV, we'd watch it. We'd sit down and we'd watch it. And, I just think to myself, like, wow, man, I love these movies and I love this. And now to be part of that culture, be in a film that is part of that culture and is recognized at that level is something that's, I can't even explain in words. It's beyond explanation. It's really a special feeling,
Yeah.
Are you still close
that's a
with,
historical movie, man. Like the
actors really is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I remember watching it as a kid too.
Yeah. Are you still close with Taral Hicks?
Yeah. I actually just spoke to her the other day. I speak to her all the time. We usually see each other. Like signing, like living, like meet and greets and stuff like that is usually when I see her. Actually saw her, I think it was like December. I think I saw her before Christmas. We did some photograph show and she was there with her husband. And she's good people. She's really good people.
She killed that role. I don't know
if you guys have seen her. I don't know if you've seen her lately, but she looks like she did in 1992.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, because she was in Belly, the movie Belly.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Belly too. Yeah, DMX.
Yeah, and I was like, I wonder how she looks now. And I went to go look. I was like, whoa. I was like,
yeah, she don't look much. She don't look much different. If anything, she looks pretty the same. Yeah, she looks great. She looks great, But,
I like that. I like how they did that in the movie scene too, where they had you guys holding hands. Because back in those days, people didn't like that interracial relationships and everything like that. So I like how they brought light to that.
Yeah, no, and with interracial relationships being much more prevalent in society today, I think the film is bigger now than it was when it was released. Because that film transcends time. You could show that, even though the film was released 30 years ago, you could show that to a 16-year-old kid right now. And it'll have the same meaning as it did to the 16-year-old kids that watched it the first time around. And I think it'll have more meaning now because of the interracial love, because that's what society is now. It's, it's that all that other bullshit with not having that. That's not recognized anymore. Now it's like, this is the way it is. And a film like The Bronx Tale, like you said, brings light to that. And I think not only because I was in the film, but it was a really well-made film. I mean, even if I was in it, I love that film. The way Sonny shot that guy in the beginning. Oh, are you kidding me? The way comes and the horns start beating and the guy breaks the window with the bat. And then you hear Pesci, say, "Fuck you, you freehold." Fuck you, you freehold. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me tell you, that word freehold, that's a very Bronx word. And the way he says, you know?
Freehold. I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah, so and the guy who played the guy with the windows, his name's Joe Yacovone. We call him Joe Black. And I just talked to Joe Black about 3 weeks ago. I still talk to Joe. Yeah, he emailed me. He goes, "Lillo, I want to send you a couple of pictures from the set. I'm going to email you." He sent me like 30 pictures. He's a great guy, though. He's a great guy. You're a real motherfucker. You know that? Like, and then Sonny comes out with the gun. He starts blasting him, and then he comes right up to him and he puts one more right in his head. And the way they shot it with that, and then the slow motion, Sonny looking at the kid, it was powerful. It was definitely powerful. It was very well made. I love the end of the film at the funeral because nobody knew that was Joe Pesci until he comes back. And I'm like, Joe Pesci, and like, oh my God, that was him in the beginning because nobody knew that.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, they did a good job doing that because I had no idea until to the end where you had the funeral and he was like, "That was me," because he showed you his forehead,
the scar on his face. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and the scar on his face. But yeah, no, man, I'm truly blessed, and I'm blessed, and thank you guys, and thank you, Lisa, for this opportunity. I really appreciate this, and it's always nice. I really enjoyed this, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed this. Felt like I could be myself, and it's always nice to be yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate that, and and thank you, and say let's also maybe we say a little prayer that this pandemic is over really soon. No more people die. We could get back to our normal lives, and hopefully I have a feeling this summer is going to be a good one because it's already.
I hope so.
It's March already. They're already lifting so many restrictions. By the summer, so many more people will be vaccinated to the point where the majority of people will be vaccinated, that there will be so many, so little that are not. And then out of the little that are not, how many have COVID? You know what I mean? So the numbers are slowly, and then it's just going to, and then before you know it, we're going to go like a month, not one COVID case throughout the country. 2 months, not one COVID case throughout the country. You know what I mean? Unless they want to start to get cute, and then now, a new strain of COVID, COVID-19 and 2 3/4. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So you never know, but let's just pray that doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But ladies and gentlemen, I gotta run because we're waiting for now to get dark. But like I said, I thank you all for this opportunity, and let's do it again sometime really soon.
I agree. Before you go, one more question.
Sure.
Clark had a question that we talk about all the time, and since you were raised in an Italian background, Sicilian, do you agree with Clark that Sicilian is black people?
Say it again.
Go ahead, Clark. Let Clark go ahead and explain or ask you the question.
Well, okay, so I have Italian, and like they're married into the family, like our family, because they're Haitian. My family. So real quick, I'll say it real quick. So, my aunt, she married into the family, and she was giving us a background, of Italian, the Italians, especially when they came here from Italy, they actually, four people got hanged. 4 of the Italians got hanged. And then, but anyways, what she was telling me, the history is that they're black, not all of them, Sicilians, but they're mainly black.
No, that's true.
Because they're mixed from when Hannibal came. Okay.
No, but there was the Moors. The Moors were Africans, and the Moors conquered Sicily way back.
The Moors,
way
yes,
back.
that's what. Yes.
The Moors, and the Moors were Africans that conquered Sicily, and prior to them conquering Sicily, the Sicilians were like the Italians from northern Italy, blonde hair, blue eyes. But then the Moors came and raped so many Sicilian women that they changed the bloodline forever. So Sicilians don't look like Italians. Sicilians even could look like almost Hispanic. Some Sicilians are so dark they could look Hispanic. And and that's the truth. That's true. That's
I didn't know that.
Those are historical facts.
Okay, I didn't know that part. How the Moors did that. So that's what
Sicilians
have.
Watch the movie True Romance. Quentin Tarantino wrote the dialogue. There's a whole scene between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, and just write True Romance Sicilian scene. It'll explain the thing of what I just told you in that scene.
I'm about to watch it after this.
Yeah, it's true. It's historical. It's historical fact.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you for coming on. Let's make sure we stay in touch and
absolutely
we'll have fun at directing the final scene.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you all have a good night. Say a prayer for me that I get out of here safe and sound.
You will.
Snow no more, but I'll do it one last time. All right? So it's a little prayer. I just get out Monday night. All right? Thank you all. I appreciate it.